Todd Messick. I've known Todd for years. Todd used to be, probably still are, a fantastic photographer. He used to be one of our staff photographers when I was with Quicksilver. You
got it on.
were with us then. And, well, now you're on our set. You've got some surfboards. What is it? How'd you get involved?
All right.
Well, surfing's always been a love.
Up front, or where do you want it on?
Surfing's
Like
always
sideways or across the board?
been of interest, you know, obviously through shooting photos and seeing the surfing, growing up with it. Just as a hobby, always shaped and had an interest in it. And then I shaped a big pig that I surfed pretty much every day. The waves were crappy around town, and some friends got wise to it or wanted to jump on them, and next thing I knew, I was shaping boards. So.
And Art in Motion is the label.
Art in Motion is the label we're doing. Came up with the name after just shaping boards, realizing, you know, the shaping process is kind of like art, you know, and it really is pieces of art you get to run with and you know, catch waves with, versus photography, which was something that you do creatively and then it goes on a wall and it stays there. So these are neat because they're three-dimensional and you get to have a lot of fun with them. So.
And what's your favorite board, or to ride and to shape?
Well, generally anything that's wide or tail. I mean, I've got this obsession with wide tail. When I was a kid, I got hooked on the Shane Horan Laser Zap. I went with that school of thought.
That thing looks like that.
And it was either the MR school or the Shane school, and although I love MR to death, and so all my friends were riding twin fins, I got hooked on the single fin philosophy, and then as I got into snowboarding and did that professionally, it all kind of carried back into the single fin for some weird reason. I don't know, I don't shape and have not shaped any multi-fin boards in the whole time I've been doing it. They're all single fins based on the idea of how single fins ride, whether it's a 9-foot log, a pig, or this board I've come up with. But this board here, I took a ton of concave through it, and
see it.
And so you're kind of using the rails as wings, so it's almost like a finless in theory, very low rocker through the front, and then the single fin just gets the drive that you need. But if I could take the fin off completely and ride that board without the fin, that'd be the ideal, because it stays in the pocket. Does just what the Laser Zap had wanted and did do back then. This is just taking the concave concept that are on all the Merricks, and everybody's, the Lost and all the high performance, so it's kind of a twist on everything I could come off. It's like a two-stroke, basically. It's not a cruiser by any means. In fact, I shaped this board for Andrew Doheny, and he rode it, and it was a little big for him because it's a 510, and he rides a smaller board. But just the idea and the interest, it's just puts you in a different line. For me, coming from snowboarding as a background and doing it that way, you can set a different line. You can stay in the pocket and draw different things, because everybody seems to be on multi-fins, and they're going in the progressive state, but for me, I like to stay more where the energy's at, so it's just kind of, a different twist on it, but yeah.
Your website, I thought I read something where it said created out of necessity.
Exactly.
Okay,
Building at
needed what? That obviously something different for your style, obviously.
Well, I got hooked on longboarding a while ago, and but most of the logs are just that. They're really lethargic and kind of hard to ride, and they're really planky. And where we ride it, like Blackie's, is pretty much the home break, and it's a ton of little waves, and it's a lot of fun. But generally, they're so planky you can't really do a lot on them. So when I got onto the Pig, it was a really new concept for me, even though it's an old, this whole thing was based off the Velzy Pig. It's like a pig on acid is what I like to think of it, because it really, you crank it up, and I took the tail out as wide as I could think it needed to be, but then I got hooked on it. Now I've kind of refined the thicknesses, but other than that, the idea of the board, you can turn them like on a dime. It just allows you to ride a 2-foot wave and do directional changes and stuff that you can't do on what they call a nose rider today. Wide nose, narrow tail. I don't know how it even got there from when Velzy did it back in 50. It's like that you were on it, so.
One thing that I noticed of the old school, when the longboard generation came through, they were calling them skegs. That looks like a skeg, not a fin.
That's
S-K-E-G, right?
That's an 11-inch Nueva lightweight that we're rocking
beautiful.
On that thing. And
beautiful if it's not coming at you.
Yeah.
And I'm hooked on that fin, and I ride a Takayama 10-inch fin pivot, and so those two fins are my favorite, and I swear by them. So I like to keep a box in that board because it gives you the option, it gives you some freedom. So But that fin in particular is a ton of fun because you can actually get on the nose on these boards and turn the board on nose. So it allows for more freedom. It just comes down to having as much fun and catching as many waves as you can. So
okay.
That's what it,
So the pig on acid right here, would you ever put a leash around your ankle and tether that to that board?
No need.
Never.
Like Roy Russell said, leashes are for dogs, man. You stick by that. On the shortboard, however, it's a little more crazy. You got to keep the board. Got to be able to catch it from going out and stabbing someone, but
On that pig, Todd, it looks like a really classic board. Looks like a fun board. What does that retail for?
We're doing these, we're calling it recession pricing, keeping it right at $1,100.
Show special
with
for
all
me.
the bells and whistles. With you, we can talk later, but that's, I get all my glass work from with Steve Albin at Aloha Glassing, and he does a lot of the Dewey Webbers and Robert August and stuff, but I go to him for all my resin work because I want it done, like you said, classic or traditional. I'm a purist in that I want it a certain way, but there's some twists to it,
Just because I know guys are looking at that. What is the price on that?
It's
just roughly.
Well, all the bells and whistles is $1,100, which is lower than some. But I want to be fair and competitive. It's expensive. The glass jobs are very expensive to be done properly. And all the boards that we do, all the longboards are resin tint work. It's not paint jobs. So, and that craft is also going kind of by the wayside. Not too many guys do resin tint works anymore. It's kind of like an art form in itself. So.
Todd, I think you can get one for $1,500.
I'll negotiate off camera.
Yeah,
I'm interested.
Right.
I want to know more about Art in Motion. How do I find out more information and where your boards are sold?
You can go to our website, artinmotiondesigns.com, and we've got some boards at HSS. Those guys are showing the love and letting us put the boards in there. So it's just word of mouth, little by little. If you see me in the water, ask to borrow the board. You're welcome to it. That's how we're selling one board at a time. People see us on them, and they're you can do things on them you just can't do on the other ones. So.
Well, I know I can catch a lot of waves on that thing. Todd Messick, look like you're doing well for yourself. Best of luck to you.
Thank you, Todd.
And you guys check him out, Todd Messick, Art in Motion. Go to his website, learn more about his equipment and where to buy it. Coming up next, we've got some great things taking place. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Get on the edge of that seat. We'll be right back from Del Mar.